Hi, welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this cute little Mosaic Mood notebook purse. They're quick and easy to do with a simple dollar store notebook. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how I got started. Okay, for the cover on the purse, I've made this template. I found it was easier than doing it directly onto the book for me, and I could use it over and over again, and it saved me measuring. So what I did was take a piece of cardstock, and then I measured down 4 squares on the one side, or 1 inch, and 5 squares on the top edge, or 1¼ inches, and I simply cut between those two tick marks to create this template. I'm going to set the template on top of my book here and take my scissors and simply trim. And then to do the other side, I'm going to turn that over, line up those edges again, and I am going to trim a second time. And then I found patience with this is better than trying to do it too quickly. So I'm going to lift up just a few pieces. Sorry, my scissors has got adhesive on it. I'm going to pick up just a few pieces here of paper and follow that trim line with my scissors. And I'm going to repeat that until I've done all the paper. Okay, what I found happened when I did too many sheets of paper at one time is it started creating this wedge effect where my edges were not clean like I wanted them to be. And so I found that definitely having some patience and going slowly was the way for me to go. Okay, I'm doing the last section of paper. And then, so that I'm following that same line, I'm simply going to put my back cover up to the pages and run my scissors along the edge and trim. There we go. Now let me show you how I decorated it. Okay, for this project, I found that tear and tape was the way to go for me. I like it. It's clean, it's simple, and I'm going to put some along each one of these edges on both sides. I don't have to do the rest of it because I've put the tear and tape also on my designer series paper, and that will hold it down in those areas. So let me finish this up. Okay, so for the cover, I'm going to remove these pieces of tear and tape one at a time. And then I'm going to bring in this 7-inch piece of ribbon and lay it down along those tear and tape pieces. There we go. And I have cut 2 pieces of our designer series paper, Mosaic Mood. I don't know if you can see the shine on this paper, but it is got a clear embossing on some of the images, and it's just striking. So I am going to take my tear and tape off of this first piece. And as you can see, I've run it along all 4 edges. I'm going to decide which edge I want up, and then I'm going to carefully, without adhering it down, line it against the top edge here and the side edge. And once I've got that straight, at that point I can lay it down and burnish. And I'm going to even wrap this piece a little bit around the bottom of the notebook. And then to cut off these pieces on the edges, I'm going to carefully take my paper snips and run it along the edge of the cover so that it's nice and tight. There we go. And then I'm ready to do the next side. The same process. I'm going to take off the tear and tape, and I'm going to take that piece of ribbon and I'm going to lay it across that tear and tape, and that's why the tear and tape is there on that edge to tack that down. And then the other side on your designer series paper will hold the other side of the ribbon down. Now, if you want a little added protection on your designer series paper, you can always add a little bit of tear and tape down the center, or even I'm going to add a quick little swoosh of multi-purpose in there. And I'm going to once again carefully line up the edge, and Tear and Tape is sticky, so be careful before you actually lay it down and burnish it, because it's tough to get up. You can by using your heat tool, but it's better if you don't have to. Okay, and once again I'm ready to trim those edges. And if I'm a little over on the edges, I can trim it here too. Okay, so now I've got my purse decorated, and I have this little bit of a seam here. So I'm going to take a piece of my mint macaron, and I have added Tear and Tape down both sides and the center of this, because I want this to adhere really well. And that's going to create the bottom band of color on my purse. And I'm going to decide which side is front and which side is back. And then I'm going to line this up so that I can add a nice straight line using my grid paper. And I'm going to set that down. And then slowly work it around the bottom, simply by wrapping it around and adhering. Now, as you can see, it's a little long on one side, so that's okay. I can simply open up my book and take my scissors and trim. There we go. And now I need to add the clasp. So what I've done is punched out one of our timeless label punches in mint macaron. And I am going to take this and lay it on the front side where I want it and fold it over, being careful to go between those ribbons and to tightly hold that there so that I've got my crease. And at that point I am ready to add my adhesive. And I'm going to be using the liquid adhesive for this, but you can also use the Tear and Tape. And I'm going to set that on the back side of my purse and simply wrap it around and hold it for a few seconds so that it can dry. And then I'm going to take a 3/4 inch circle punch here, and I am going to add that to the clasp. Right there in that little shape on the punch, and allow that to dry. And then I'm going to bring in a mini glue dot. I'm simply going to lift that off the protective sheet here. And I like to have the fuzzy side on the piece that's going to clasp, so I'm going to put that on here. They're self-adhesive, so it's real easy. And then I'm going to simply press it down, and that way both pieces are lined up just like I want them. Now, for the little decoration on the clasp, I'm using our flower faceted gems. They're gorgeous and they're self-adhesive, so I'm simply going to pick one up and place it onto my clasp where I want it. Okay, and once you've got this done and your multi-purpose adhesive or your Tear and Tape is nice and firm, you can open it and close it as many times as you want. A perfect little gift item. So let me show you the original again. I've got the designer series paper while it's the same sheet. I've run it in 2 different directions so you can see what it looks like. If you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.